Welcome to another live stream, my friends. Bitcoin has seen a beautiful little pump earlier today, which was fantastic to see as it pushed us right to my 214 fib target from my swing long position outlined here on my 4-hour Bitcoin chart. This is where things get a little bit tricky, guys, as we've now hit my main bounce target. Not saying all hope is lost from here. It's just time to be a little bit vigilant, as there's currently some strong arguments to be made from both the bullish and the bearish scenarios moving forward, in my opinion. Those of you in my Telegram channel actually got the signal a few days ago where I ended up taking a long off my 786 at 104,787. Unfortunately, never hit my lower entries in my swing fail box before that pump, but it is what it is. Still a beautiful long position that has played out there. So guys, from here, basically, as I just said, looking at the 4-hour chart, I mean, this bounce from the 786, I was very vocal about this, that, we would start to see retail starting to panic short into support. We did absolutely see that again. I'll bring up on an indicator in a little bit here. But we did see retails start to panic right at support, where I took my long right off the 786 as per usual. And like I said, we've hit my first two main targets. Now, the thing is, guys, and I've been talking about this on the 4-hour chart for a while, is that technically this was not even a bullish Stuber fib setup. It is the same type of a fib pull. I'm still looking at it as, yeah, the 786, 886. We often get a reaction around that level. But technically, we never had a lower high on this trend, at least on the 4-hour. On the 5-minute, yeah, sure, we did. But on the 4-hour, we never did break a lower high, because this was not a confirmed lower high here. Because if this was our low, our previous low before that was this, and our highest point between the two was up here. So actually nowhere near breaking a lower high on the 4-hour. So this is just a fib pull. It's not actually a bearish or a bullish Stuber, but it did play out as one, right? We hit my first target, the 0.5 fib, and as well, we have this morning hit that 214 fib. So that play, as far as I'm concerned, that move has happened. All right. So at this point, I'm open to the idea of going a little bit higher. I still have about 40% of that position running just in case we do get a moonshot to the upside. But at this point, I'm still happy to have a little bit of a short running from back at these levels here at about 115,451. I shouldn't say about, that's exactly where. But yeah, basically, I'm still open to the idea of basically either scenario happening, because as a responsible trader, I mean, here's the thing, guys. A lot of traders will tell you they know what's going to happen, or more specifically, influencers rather than traders will tell you they know where the price is going. A responsible trader will always plan for either scenario and accept that we could be wrong, and just basically trade the charts for what they are. So at this point, I don't know if we're going to go higher or we're going to go lower. All I can do is kind of protect myself from both, and basically take profits along the way on any position. I always treat the beginning half of my positions basically as a scalp. Well, I shouldn't even say scalp, because on the 4-hour, it's kind of hard to consider this a scalp when it's played out for 4 or 5 days here. But more so playing the range first and hoping for a breakout second, right? So we already got this range move, the fact that we got to my range targets as far as a fib setup. And from here, if we end up breaking out, great. And like I said, I mean, I do see strong cases for the bulls and the bears at this point. My reasoning for that is we do have liquidity on both sides of us at this point. I'm actually going to just erase all my drawings here just so we can see just the liquidation pockets. And guys, you can see that we started grabbing some of this liquidity to the upside, but we still do have a lot. I mean, let's face it, there is a lot of liquidations between here and basically an all-time high retest, right? So there is still liquidity up there. If the market makers want to grab that, I mean, it does at least make sense that we could go up to those levels. Just be careful if we get up there. I know everybody loves to FOMO long right into resistance, just like the last 2 times that we got nasty rejections. And people like to say manipulation, all that sort of thing, but it's just basic technical analysis and just sellers selling at resistance and buyers buying at support, basically, right? So At this point, yeah, we have more liquidity to the upside, so we could go higher. We also are now finally starting to see a lot of liquidations below us. So there is still liquidity below us at this point as well. So that's where I say right now is kind of in a dangerous position as far as new positions go, especially if you're looking more for swing positions in general. At this point, we're basically in the middle of a very large range, and this liquidity shows it perfectly, right? But basically, it's just risky, right? We could go to the upside, we could go to the downside, and that's why any new positions I'm going to be taking moving forward, at least while we're kind of trading in this massive range, is going to be playing the range first and hoping for a breakout second, right? I always, like I said, first half of my position, looking at it as more of a scalp or a range play. And then if the other half runs, so be it. But yeah, at this point, just be careful, you guys. Nothing is off the table. And if anything, that massive liquidation event that we had just, well, what, a week and a half ago, that should really clue a lot of people in that anything is possible in this space. People love to say, oh, we can't see those levels again. Oh, that'll never happen because of whatever fundamental reasons. I don't really care about fundamentals. You guys know I more so just look at chart structure and playing systematic trade strategies. And for those of you guys who are interested in that, just looking at market structure for what it is, you want to see more examples, how I pull my Fibonacci's. You want to see how I look at higher highs, higher lows, just market structure in general. You want more of my thoughts on the market in general. Do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code on the screen, because like I said, these moves were not unpredictable. A lot of people say they were, but if you got totally blindsided by any of the moves, I mean, they have been there in the charts warning us basically. So at this point, just understand that anything is possible and the market does not care about our feelings or our thoughts, right? All that matters at the end of the day, and it honestly doesn't even matter if our analysis is correct. What matters at the end of the day is how you execute your trade setups as they come to you, right? I just want to reload this chart just to get it back to the original, just with some of my analysis on it here. There we go, back to normal. And so one thing that is nice to see, you guys, as we, got this little pump, notice where we're trying to find support right now. We're trying to get above this sell signal on the MDX Trendmaster, trying to flip that into support. I still have my concerns about that. It is still a sell signal. And, just in general, there's a lot of things on the longer time frame, even longer than this one. I look at the weekly that I have my concerns, but we're going to have to see from here. So let's just get rid of that guy. I want to bring up the ALGO master, and it is also still showing potential resistance higher up, right? As I was talking about those liquidation levels, notice that a lot of that liquidity is actually up here, but there still is this bigger bearish Fibonacci pull outlined by the ALGO master here. So the auto Stuber fibs. And just notice that it also shows resistance up to about 130K, which would be basically my invalidation. This red box up here, that would be my swing fail pocket that I would be expecting it to get some sort of a rejection at if we end up climbing there, just like we did the last two swings, right? We got the same setup twice already, and I would not be surprised to see it happen a third time if we actually end up climbing up to those levels. So time will tell. As I mentioned, I have some serious concerns with the weekly chart. You guys know that I've been mentioning for, well, actually a few weeks at this point, that where we are in the market cycle, typically speaking, from bear market lows to where our market cycle ends up peaking is about 152 weeks. Again, I shouldn't say about, it's exactly 152 weeks. And that is actually where we are currently. And on top of that, you guys, this is more so, I don't want to say that it has to play out the same. Obviously, it doesn't have to. I'm just looking for fractals in the chart, basically. And so far, we did get a nasty structure break on the weekly time frame, lining up with that time limit if it's going to be a thing again. And that is, I was actually outlining this yellow box in my last few streams. Basically right here, this was our order block, right? The fact that we had these candle bodies closing up here, and then we got higher candle bodies closing there. This was basically the last chance that, well, basically the last push the bears tried to make to set new lows but we ended up setting new highs instead. So that's kind of where support ended up kicking in, basically. So creating a bit of an order block here. Now, what we've done with Sunday's candle close actually closed below that box. And today's pump actually just got a retest in that box. So this is a very large concern for me. If we can end up closing this candle, this weekly candle above this yellow box, so that would be about basically above 115.5 thousand, I would actually feel a lot better about the price and think that we can at least retest the highs. But so far, it's really looking like we are flipping support into resistance on that order block, basically turning it into a breaker block. There again, not all hope is lost there, because technically we could also treat this as a stuber. The fact that we had this high and we did set slightly higher highs, that would confirm this as our higher low on the trend. So if I pull a fib basically from those lows to where we topped out, you can see so far we're getting basically a perfect double bottom. So that is always a possibility there, but losing that that order block, turning it into a breaker block there, I do have very serious concerns about that, and just where we are on a timeline for where this cycle is and so many other things. I just do have my concerns, you guys. We still obviously have this big bearish divergence on the RSI on the weekly. So just a few things to keep our eyes on, basically. I want to reload this. I was talking about retail coming in and shorting into support, you guys, and why I was basically thinking that, you know, that 786 wasn't too bad of a play there. Let's just look at retail long here. You can see, well, retail longs and short, but basically as we came down, I want to map out that fib that I typically have there. So notice that right when we came down to the 786, 886 fib pocket, notice where we are on that indicator below. That is literally right where this red line bottomed out and flipped to the upside. So this red line is retail shorts. So that's where retail starts shorting. You can see that even though retail is still very long heavy, you can see that the shorts were starting to pile in right as we tested into support. So that's kind of what I was just talking about at the start of the stream there. Bringing up the hourly as well. This one's actually kind of funny. Let me just really expand this guy here. You guys know that I often mention how so often we end up seeing, like, once you start seeing these Stuber fib setups, you just can't really unsee them. And here's another thing I want to point out with the retail long short is notice what the shorts ended up doing right as we were retesting into support on the hourly time frame here. Notice that even on the indicators, we are seeing this, that we pulled back. So we broke this downtrend on retail shorts, came back down, retested the 786 perfectly as the price was also retesting my 786 support there. So to see retail shorts basically setting a higher low there, really seeing shorts step in, that's where I kind of gained confidence in my position that I took off that level and thinking, yeah, I think this can run for that exact reason right there. But yeah, as it stands right now, I mean, on the 4 hour, like I said, we ended up getting up towards my second take profit on that swing position. But look at this, you guys. Let's just look at the 1 minute, and again, bringing up that liquidations indicator. Look what the price did. We basically came up, we grabbed all this liquidity that was above us. And I know on the longer time frames, yes, there is obviously some even higher up above us, but there was a big cluster of liquidity up here. And after we ended up grabbing that and printing this sell signal on the Trendmaster, I mean, we have seen a fairly serious rejection since that. Even got this little warning on the Trendmaster indicator. And I know this is just the 1 minute, you guys, but notice what happens when, yeah, obviously this was the nicest signal and it just happened to work out. But this would have been actually the safer one because we get the lower sell signal. So just a warning that the trend was shifting to the downside there. And we have got a continued push to the downside there. Not only that, but also notice what happened here. This is just a little scalp that I took just a little while ago, actually. Basically looking at this as our low and our lower low. That means the highest point between the two is our lower high. pulling a fib from there. Notice where we end up getting rejected. A perfect Stuber fib fill, even on the 1 minute there. So far, still playing out. Obviously, just like I was talking about before, playing the range first, right? We've actually hit a couple of my scalp take profit levels, playing the range first. And if the rest of the position runs, then so be it, basically. But yeah, seeing a little bit of a nasty rejection here so far, you guys. And just because of where it happened, this is where I really have some concerns about the price right now. Let me know in the chat how you guys are feeling on the price. Do you think that we are going to new all-time highs? Do you think the bull market is over? How do you guys feel? And also, guys, if you do appreciate these live streams and you appreciate the fact that I keep a level head and just trying to be the voice of reason in these crazy times and in this crazy market, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, smash that like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That all goes a long way, you guys, because obviously this is a very new channel that I'm streaming on now. So those likes and those subscribes go a long way for such a small new channel. So really appreciate you guys being here with me. Love to see that I have so many familiar faces here. That means that obviously you guys appreciate what I have to say. You're interested in what I have to say, if nothing else. And I really appreciate having you guys here with me. So yeah, thumbs up for you guys as well. Let me just catch up on the chat a little bit. Habu, Red Panda, Matt, Bitlicious, Tonester, welcome, my friends. Good to see some familiar faces and some that are have been around a little less around here, but love to have you guys here, new and old members. Love to see you guys. And once again, guys, if you do just want to look at more examples of how I pull my Fibonacci's, how I look at market structure, all that sort of good stuff, scan the QR code on the screen. But yeah, guys, right now, price, I'm not gonna lie, there's one setup here that I would consider from a bullish perspective as far as looking for a lower time frame setup. Let me just get rid of some indicators. Basically just looking at this as retracing the entire move that we got, that push to the upside this morning. I would not be surprised that even if we are going to maintain a bullish trend of any kind, I would expect us to retrace the majority of the move and come down to the 786 at least. I am not overly interested in taking a long at this point. Another one anyways. I still have that one running. I'm still, you guys know, for a while now, I have been leaning a little bit bearish just because of the weekly chart, the 4-hourly chart. Just no matter what Bitcoin does, it can keep pumping. Absolutely. I have a small position remaining. Well, 40% of my original position running at this point. If we end up going on a moonshot and smashing all-time highs, at least I'm covered at this point. That being said, I've just been favoring the bearish side of things a little more lately just because of where we're at in this market cycle. And I can't shake my gut feeling that I feel like significantly lower prices are looming, especially the fact that when I bring up those liquidations, we have that liquidity below us, below these lows here. And I mean, guys, let's just remove this. Let's just go straight into market structure here. Just looking at basic market structure, here was our high, here was a higher high, this was our higher low. The fact that we broke that level, first it was just a wick, but even these candle bodies going below it after, just the wick on its own, honestly, the fact that we set a lower low, that is a big concern for me because that is a very macro trend. That is a very serious level that we broke. And if we end up going even lower and grabbing this liquidity here, at that point, we have another lower low. And that is just a very, very nasty looking trend, in my opinion. That would confirm this as our lower high on the 4-hour trend, basically, if we get that right. At this point, I'm still not considering it confirmed, but we will have to see what happens there. Let's see here. Let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Take a look at gold. I can take a look at gold for you. Gold, yeah, that's a nasty double top, you guys. That is a very, very nasty double top. Obviously, anything can happen from here, but Yeah, that is a little bit nasty. I know there's a lot of people saying that, well, once gold tops, then Bitcoin's going to go to the moon. I see the reasoning for that, but don't just assume that. Okay. I know there's always hopium around the corner. There is always those perma bulls are constantly giving a new reason why Bitcoin has to pump any day now. Just understand that until the structure of the chart for Bitcoin actually confirms that that's what Bitcoin is doing, don't just assume that gold is going to tell you where Bitcoin is going. They are two very different assets. I know they get compared a lot, but just be careful with that one, you guys. Let's see. Oh yeah, so that was a beautiful Stuber setup, you guys. So it's not just crypto, right? We see it in gold, we see it in commodities, in stocks, in forex. We see it all over the place. But just here's a nice example. Basically on the uptrend, we had our little pullback here. So I know this is micro analyzing, but that was a high and a higher high. We ended up breaking that higher low there. And then notice what happens, right? We get that pullback. It was actually a double top, but rather than a Stuber fib. But either way, if you did ladder in like a Stuber fib, you would have caught the 3 entries out of the 4, and it would not have got invalidated. Obviously, nowhere near the 115 there. So yeah, gold has, as far as I look at market structure, it has started a downtrend. And at this point, I mean, I would just pull a fib something like this, that if we get a bounce, that's just where I would start to kind of watch for resistance levels. So yeah, be careful on that one. Oh, nice, Tonester. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Tonster. Goal on the 15 and the 1 hour. Yeah, juicy short. Yeah, if you ended up catching that one, for example, yeah, beautiful play there. Other Stu number 2, welcome, my friend. Good to see you once again. Loving the regular streams, loving doing the regular streams. Sideways chop, going to cut up retail trades. I like the price action to the upside until it started to roll over. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Everyone loves price action when it's going to the upside. Only actual traders can appreciate downside volatility as well. And I don't care which way this market goes. I just love that it's volatile again. Ever since that big liquidation event, this market has been so volatile and so fun to trade. Looks like lower is in the cards overnight. I know last night we saw that. So if that's a thing, maybe Asia is going to be dumping the markets during their trading hours. Absolutely possible. Red Panda, do you take into account BTC USD? So when I do perp trading, I always just go on which chart I'm actually trading. So the fact that I'm trading on BloFin, oh yeah, look at that. So I did just mention, wow, that was quick. I did mention that we would likely be pulling back down to this level. Well, we even filled down to the 886 already. So it's possible we get a bounce from there. Like I said, I'm not taking the long. I'm going to actually, give me a sec. I got to take some profits off this guy. Just in case. Perfect. Sorry about that. I shouldn't apologize. I'm actually showing you why I'm taking some profits on a position that I'm in. Okay, so yeah, that's an interesting point. If one chart ends up setting a new low, but the other one doesn't, is that an indication, or are each separate? I always treat each separate. I haven't back tested that. I couldn't tell you for sure if there's one way that's better than the other. I've just always traded and looked at whatever chart I'm trading, just because sometimes there is a little bit of a price difference, and I want to basically have the proper stop losses and stuff for the exchange I'm on. Adrian, good to see you, buddy. How are you sitting? Are you in some shorts there? There is a correlation between gold price and BTC. Yeah, often there is, just like there's often a correlation between the DXY and Bitcoin, but it just isn't always a thing. So just understand that just because gold is dumping does not mean that Bitcoin has to pump, basically. Yeah, just need one nice close below 105. and then the real fun can start. Yeah, I can't say I disagree with you, my friend. Yeah, an actual close below these candle closes back here. I would still say that, I would like to see losing the 115 to get real bearish. But yeah, absolutely. I see what you're seeing. Oh yeah, you're in a couple shorts. I knew you would be, my bearish friend. You. Uh, all right. Oh yeah, there we go. Right down to the 786 there. Love to see it. Like I said, guys, I just have so many reasons on the longer time frames that I'm not really interested in longing at this point. Mainly a huge one for me, guys, is just this breaker block on the weekly. I had it outlined for a couple weeks in advance, and the fact that today we got that push into it and now seeing a rejection from there just kind of confirms my theory in my eyes. I have very serious concerns about that. Everything is just looking quite weak. When I look at altcoins, I mean, they all have these lower sell signals on the 4-hour chart. Even the 5-minute chart, hype has a big lower. BNB. I have a couple indicators here that are pointing out, well, the ALGO master pointing out a fib down here, but just basically what I'm saying is a lot of things, Bitcoin and altcoins, are at basically showing signs of potential rejection at this point. And I don't really see a reason to be excessively bullish at this point. Like I said, I'm covered. If we blast off from here, I still have 40% of my long running. Great. If not, I'm covered from the shorts as well, and happy to go to the downside as well. I think if we went into a full bear market, I'm here for it. It would be a lot of fun trading the downside, but obviously, just like everyone else, I also would love to go parabolic to the upside. Parabolic runs are always very fun, very easy to make money and that sort of thing. But to make money to the downside, you need to be an actual trader. And that being said, guys, I think that is about all I wanted to go over on my stream today. And as mentioned, if you want to be an actual trader and look at chart structure rather than the fundamentals and, following tweets and announcements and meetings and all that sort of stuff, just understand that it's a lot easier to make mistakes when trying to understand and analyze the entire global economy versus a couple of colorful lines. So that if that is something that interests you, you want to see more examples, how I'm pulling fibs, how I'm looking at market structure, some of my trade setup ideas, my overall thoughts on the markets in general, do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code on the screen, get in there. And other than that, my friends, I think that's about all. So once again, just be careful out there. Like I said, not all hope is lost, but there is some warning signs across many different time frames that give me concerns at this point. So please just be very careful, you guys. And again, I hope to see you in my Telegram channel. With that, stay safe, my friends. I'm out. Thank you so much for being here with me once again. Catch you on the next one. Peace out.